Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Always Open Books. Thank you for tuning in to Friday's episode. If you like what you're hearing and can't wait to see what happens next, or if you just want to support our channel, you can purchase the complete audiobook, ebook, or paperback book on our website, alwaysopenbooks.com, for a great price. I will link it down below. We have a lot more stories to come, so subscribe to be notified of our future releases. Please comment below. We would love to hear from you, and we hope you enjoy the book. Special Chapter 1. Being chased through the woods by a band of Bigfoot hunters was not how I intended to spend my Saturday night. It had been nearly 100 years since I had been chased like this. Now they were chasing me with flashlights and not lanterns. At least now if they dropped the light, my forest wouldn't catch on fire. "I can't believe we found a Bigfoot," said Jason. I had met this human previously that day. "I think he went this way," I heard a man shout. He was wrong, of course. I didn't go that way. Bigfoots in general were masters of misdirection. I threw another rock in the opposite direction of where I was going. I don't know how I let myself end up in this situation. It all started this morning. I was sitting on my couch feeling depressed about my friend Bob. It was 20 years to the day that we lost him on our space mission. I was staring at his picture on my wall. It was Yeti, Skunk, Bob, Karen, and me, Bigfoot. We looked so happy, so full of hope, and then 10 days later, after the picture was taken, he was gone. The worst part was that we didn't even know what had happened to him. Did he crash, or was he just wandering around in some dark void of space? Now at that thought, I felt myself slipping into a dark void. At that moment, I decided to turn on the TV to watch my stories and get my mind off of things. It was a mistake. It was Big Al's annual Bigfoot convention. Al had a crown on and was telling everyone to come to the convention. "Come over to Bigfoot Village, the largest cryptid convention north of the forest. You've got your chupacabra blood shakes, your Bigfoot corn maze chase, and dozens of booths with official Bigfoot hunter merchandise. Don't miss your chance to see a once-in-a-lifetime event." Everything always seemed to be a once-in-a-lifetime event with Big Al. I had never met Al in real life, but I wondered if he was always that excited about everything and if he always wore that crown. The camera did a panoramic view of the convention. It was a bunch of fools dressing up like Bigfoots, like they knew who we were and what we were about. "Come on down today. Admission is $1. Children get in free. The convention only lasts until Sunday. Don't miss your chance to discover the real sasquatch." I just snapped. I was being mocked in my own backyard, literally. Stony Mountain was my backyard. I had had enough. I was going to that Bigfoot convention and I was going to teach them all a lesson. Maybe I couldn't do anything about Bob, but I sure as heck could do something about this. When I got to the convention, I was surprised to see how many people were there. These people were really into cryptids. Hundreds of cars were parked in the green fields and there were at least 20 Bigfoot booths selling handmade goods to onlookers. Someone was selling samples of Bigfoot poop, and I knew for a fact that that was not what they looked like. This whole convention was a scam. I didn't know what I was doing here. I had come to teach them a lesson, but that was silly. They didn't know anything about Bigfoots, and I should keep it that way. I was about to turn around when I heard a loud, scratchy voice. I needed to hear more, so I followed the voice to a group gathered around a short man wearing a military green uniform with an eye patch and gray hair. They say Bigfoots are not aggressive creatures, but I disagree. I was lucky to get away with my life. That Bigfoot took my eye. He pointed to his eye patch. I got closer to the man with the eye patch. There was no way a Bigfoot had ever poked someone's eye out. This man didn't know what he was talking about. He was clearly doing this for attention. It was people like him that gave Bigfoots a bad name. What was I talking about? We weren't even supposed to exist. I don't know why I even cared. The night I met the Bigfoot, it was raining. He continued his story. I was near the Selkirk Mountains. This fellow was about 9 feet tall, and when I met him, he stopped for a moment and looked at me. He looked like that guy there. He pointed to me. I had gotten my outfit idea from a car salesman commercial I saw recently. I had never been called out for my attire before, but these so-called Bigfoot fans must have a keen eye for anything cryptid. I looked at the crowd and waved, unsure of what else I should do. "Give us a roar, Bigfoot," someone in the crowd said. I was blushing now. I mustered up all my courage. I didn't want to be discovered. I needed to play along. "Roar!" I said. Everyone in the crowd looked at me and laughed. One guy even yelled, "Nice costume" to me. Then another one asked, Do it again, please. That was great." I roared again, and I felt my anger subside. It was nice making this group happy, so I did it again and again. I was enjoying myself, and I had forgotten all about Bob. Everyone was impressed with my Bigfoot costume, and I answered all the questions they had about it. I had a few corn dogs and some cotton candy. I even met a few friends. A guy named Dave had given me his phone number and said we should meet up and go Bigfoot watching. He told me he didn't like the term hunting because he would never want to hunt a Bigfoot just to get to see one. People like Dave gave me hope for humanity. "Bigfoot, you should stay for the bonfire. We all gather around and tell stories about our encounters. It's a really good time. We also have marshmallows," said Dave. He almost had me convinced, but then I heard other people whispering about me. I heard one of them say, "Don't you think that guy's Bigfoot costume is a little too good?" And that made me uncomfortable. "Hey Dave, who are those guys over there?" I asked. "Oh, those guys. Stay away from them. They take this Bigfoot hunting thing way too seriously." He leaned in so only I could hear him. "I pray they never find a real Bigfoot. For them it's all about the hunting, not the discovery." I couldn't help it. I gulped audibly. "Well, Dave, I think I should be going. It was great meeting you. Enjoy the campfire and the marshmallows." I waved. "You too. Call me and we can go Bigfoot watching together." Dave waved and turned back towards the campsite where all the Bigfoot enthusiasts were staying. I went by the stand to get a chupacabra blood shake. They may not be accurate Bigfoot food, but they are delicious. I decided to take one last walk around the convention and check out the corn maze before I went back home. I walked through the corn maze thinking about Dave and how nice it had been to be around people again. Maybe I should call Dave. It was nice not being alone all the time. I heard something shuffling in the corn stalks. I was ready to run when a golden retriever popped out and wagged his tail at me. I heard another rustle and figured it must be the dog's owner. I was about to say, "Over here," when I overheard their conversation. "I think that guy in the costume was really a Bigfoot," a voice said. I hunkered down in the field so that they couldn't spot me. "The boss was convinced that he was the real deal," said another voice. "We need to get back to the campsite. We are having a meeting on what the plan is." "Goldie," the voice shouted. "Here, boy, let's go." The golden retriever ran through the stalks and back to his owner. I waited a few minutes and then left. I grabbed one more corn dog before starting home. I needed to be careful. I had come to this convention to teach these people a lesson, not to get caught by them. I sighed. I had such a nice time. The food was good and the people were nice, and then these enthusiasts had to go and ruin it. Dave was right. I needed to stay away from them. I left the convention and was careful to walk as far away from the campsite as possible. I didn't want anyone following me. I even went through the darkest part of the forest, so there was no way anyone with human eyes could see me. I was not in the mood to be hunted tonight. Everything was looking good. No human in sight, no sound I didn't recognize. I started to wonder how Dave was and if I called him what we might do next week. I thought ice cream sounded good. Maybe I could try a new milkshake flavor. Then I heard a twig snap and then another. I stopped and waited. I heard a voice from behind a tree. "I think there's something up ahead," said the male voice. "These night vision goggles are really doing the trick. You should get yourself a pair, Jason." I couldn't believe the hunters had actually found me. I had gone out of my way to avoid them. Isn't that just how the cookie crumbles sometimes? I started to run through the dark woods. The sun had gone down a while ago, and I knew I could lose them. These were my woods, after all. As soon as the thought came into my head, I lost my footing, tripped over a rock, and scraped my shoulder on a pine tree, which took a chunk of my hair out. "Ow," I muttered quietly. That had hurt. "Did you see where it went?" I heard another hunter say. "No, I think we lost it." I laid low to the ground and waited for them to pass. They were never going to find me in my own territory. I waited for a few minutes until I could no longer hear any sign of the humans. And then I got up and proceeded to zigzag back to my cabin just to make sure they couldn't follow me. I did one more look around to make sure the coast was clear before entering my cabin. All I heard was the familiar hoot of my neighborhood owl. I sat on my couch with a big mug of hot cocoa and turned on the 11 o'clock news. I like to keep in touch with my community. It was the annoying newscaster Mike Donnelly. He said "A" every other word. "So, we are going to tune in into the Bigfoot convention that went on today. He said. "Let's go to Sheila Smith, "Thanks, Mike. We are here with some Bigfoot hunters who claim to have found the hair of a sasquatch." "That's right, we did." It was one of the guys Dave had warned me about. He had dirty blonde hair, a pot belly, and wore camo pants with a green shirt. He held up a patch of brown hair. They had my hair. I scooted closer to the TV. My heart sank. Did I mess up again? I had already lost Bob, destroyed most of my home village, and lost all of my friends. Did I now expose my whole tribe? Can I do anything right anymore? What did you say your name was? Asked Sheila. It's Kevin, and I am about to make history. I'm going to take this hair and have it tested by the authorities and finally prove once and for all that Bigfoots exist. If anyone has any more information about the Bigfoot that we know lives around here, we are staying at the Stony Mountain campsite. Kevin smiled and looked directly at the camera. We are excited to hear about the results. I am Sheila coming to you from the Bigfoot Convention, and now back to you, Mike. I didn't care what Mike had to say. I turned off the TV and started pacing. I had to go to the Stony Mountain campsite to get my hair back from Kevin before he sends it to the lab. I reached for my red bandana and smeared camo paint stripes on my face. This meant war. I reached the campsite a little after midnight and hid behind some trees to get the lay of the campground. They had hunters patrolling the campsite and a few hunters guarding the main cabin. I am guessing that is where they were hiding the hair. I had to go about this strategically. There had to be at least 20 hunters at the campsite. I decided to skirt the perimeter. It wasn't long before I heard two guards talking. Do you think Kevin really has Bigfoot hair? Asked a hunter. I don't know. I honestly don't care. I just came to the convention to get away from my family for the weekend, said another. Hey Jason, how's it looking out there tonight? Said a voice over a walkie-talkie. It is looking pretty quiet out here tonight. I don't think we have anything to worry about. 10-4, said Jason. Let me know if anything changes. 10-4. I got into the water up to my eyes and waded closer to the guards. I had grabbed a small rock from the bottom of the lake and threw it on the other side of the pier to draw their attention. It worked perfectly, and I sprang out of the water and quickly put sacks over their heads. I slung them over my shoulder and tied them up against a tree. Once I had successfully knotted the ropes, I stood behind the tree and pulled off the sacks and ran away before they could see me. I left the walkie-talkies within a hand's reach to ensure that they would alert the others. I needed them to at least split their numbers if I stood a chance of getting into the cabin to steal the hair back without getting caught. Jason, get on the walkie-talkie and radio the others, said one of the hunters tied to the tree. I'm on it. He dropped the walkie-talkie because his hands were shaking so badly. He picked it back up. I can't believe we let this happen to us. Who are these people? I don't know, but probably our rivals, the Dogwater Bigfoot hunters. They have taken this too far. Boss, come in, boss. They got us. Who got you? Asked Kevin. The Dogwater boys got us. There must be at least 30 of them. Send reinforcements to the south side of the lake where we were patrolling. We can't let them get away with this. Code Red, all men to the south side of the lake. This is not a drill. Kevin sounded oddly excited about the situation. I felt a little sorry for the people I had tied up, but I needed to get that hair back as quickly as possible. Just as I had hoped, they sent out over half of the men from the cabin. They were armed with baseball bats and flashlights. I decided to sneak up to the cabin now that there were fewer people around it. I went to the back window and looked in. I saw Kevin from the news with 4 of his lackeys and ducked below the window to listen. This is the area where I think the Bigfoot is located, I heard Kevin say. I'm guessing he had a map on the table. You sure that is the right area, boss? I've never heard of anyone seeing anything out there. That's why I am positive he is here, Kevin said. It is the perfect place for a Bigfoot to hide, and it will be easy to find him because we have all our new Bigfoot searching equipment, and he is just a dumb ape. I popped my head up to look in the window at that. He was holding a large satellite-looking tool in his hand. We should find him with this in no time. I decided I had to put a stop to this once and for all. I made my way to the circuit breaker and pried the metal box open. I started flipping the switches from top to bottom, and once I heard a scream, I knew I had the right one. What was that, boss? Asked one of the hunters. I saw the lights from their flashlights coming through the window. I jumped through the window, causing the hunters to drop their flashlights, giving the appearance of gunfire going off. One of them must have seen my shadow because they told Kevin to grab the hair. He grabbed the Ziploc bag of hair, the map, and ran out the door. Bigfoots have very good eyesight in the dark. The hunters were moving towards the backup generator, so I had to hurry. I ran after Kevin and locked the door behind me. I saw the lights come on behind me. It would only be a matter of minutes before they followed me. I needed to concentrate on getting my hair back from Kevin. I saw him pushing through the woods and stumbling over roots and hitting every branch. He was running towards the cliffs. This wasn't going to end well for him. I slowed my pace. I didn't want to scare him so badly that he fell off a cliff. That wouldn't be good for my conscience. He came to a sudden stop on the edge of the cliff and was shaking. I walked slowly toward him, and with every step, his eyes grew larger in fear. With his body trembling, I saw him draw a gun and shakily point it at me. "Don't come any closer, or I'll shoot," he said. He placed both hands on the weapon for support. His fear was getting the better of him, and he forgot he was on a ledge and started backing up. I reached out my arm, but he kept stepping back. "I mean it," he said. "This thing is loaded." He took one more step back and started to fall. I lunged forward and caught him by the waist and sat him gently on the ground away from the cliff. I took his gun from him and threw it off the cliff. It was never good for a Bigfoot if a human had a weapon. I carefully took the Ziploc bag of hair and the map from him. "Don't come looking for me again," I said in the deepest voice I could muster. "I won't, I promise," Kevin stuttered. I walked back into the forest and disappeared from his sight. I wanted to make sure Kevin's crew came and found him and that this situation was behind us. It took about 15 minutes before the hunters found Kevin. I listened to the conversation. "Did you find him, boss?" asked one of the hunters. "No, John, I didn't. I'm beginning to think this was all just in my head. I don't think a Bigfoot even lives in this area." "Well, I still believe," said John. "Where's the hair? Once we get it tested, I know you'll think otherwise." Kevin patted John on the shoulder. "I'm afraid I dropped it over the cliffs. This was just a wild goose chase. My wife Jessica was right. There is no such thing as a Bigfoot." Kevin smiled. "But it was fun while it lasted. Let's go back to camp, and tomorrow we'll head home." "But Kevin," said John. He continued to plead all the way back to the cabin. I suspected John's Bigfoot hunting career was not over. I watched the group make their way back to the campsite and into the cabin before I decided to go home. It was a peaceful walk back home, knowing no one was following me. Once I settled onto my couch with a hot chocolate, I burnt the hair sample in the fire and unfolded the map. I gasped. Kevin was spot on to my location. He had circled my house and a 10-mile circumference around the area. If he had kept pursuing his Bigfoot mission, they would have stumbled onto my cabin in a matter of days. I pinned Kevin's map to the wall next to my picture of Bob and the gang. I wished he was here so I could tell him about this. He would have gotten a kick out of this crazy night. I looked at the picture and remembered all the good times we had. I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I didn't know how or when, but I was going to see Bob again someday. This wouldn't be the last picture of us all together. It would be one of many. I promise, Bob. We hoped you enjoyed this video and are looking forward to next week's episodes. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue to bring you fun and exciting stories. Please leave us comments. We are interested in what you have to say. Thank you for listening and have a great day.